Hey, friends, welcome to the first Zoom event. My goal is to do these Zoom hot seat coaching free um, once a week going forward. There will be an event sign up so you can register and get the link to your email. Um, this this week has been kind of flying off the seat of my pants and yeah, going with the flow because YouTube live wouldn't work. So if you're new here, my name is Emily Cleghorn and I am a trauma-informed life coach. In this video, we'll be talking about why boundaries can feel so uncomfortable, what the difference is between a boundary and trying to control someone else, and what to do when your nervous system is screaming at you to take your no back. So, if you have a boundary that you are struggling with and you would like some hot seat coaching on, this is where that could happen. Um, Let me know in the comments though, what boundary do you need to set but are afraid to set? Is it a boundary with a family member, a friend, a partner, in your workplace, with your kids, or maybe somewhere else? So, the common belief here among trauma survivors that we are talking about today is boundaries are mean. Now, where does that belief come from? Well, for a lot of us trauma survivors, we are we are taught as little kids that being good means being agreeable, available, and accommodating. Begin to associate that belief with our safety. And so when we think of saying no, for example, being disagreeable or not accommodating someone else's feelings, our nervous system can interpret that as threat because perhaps at one point in your life it was. And so we became accustomed, pardon me, to always being agreeable, available, and accommodating, regardless of what we felt or what we needed. And so over time, our nervous system began to operate in a way where no was off the table. We couldn't say no. And so now, in your healing journey, if you start this work and you start to say no, it can feel legitimately like an emergency. It can bring up feelings of guilt, anxiety. It can bring up fear of rejection or anger. You can find yourself over explaining your boundary so that the other person knows that you're not a bad person. You can apologize until you're blue in the face about an apology, or you can set the boundary, feel the guilt and anxiety and all of the things wash over you, and then take it back and do the thing anyway. And then there is the undeniable urge to immediately make sure that everyone is okay again. But here is what I want you to know: discomfort does not equal danger. When keeping other people happy became part of feeling safe, that discomfort did feel like danger. That discomfort did, and it may have been dangerous. If you had a parent who would fly off the handle if you did not agree with them or did not accommodate or did not consider their feelings, maybe it was dangerous. And so you've taken that on as part of your survival strategy. And I want you to know that people pleasing, like what I just mentioned, is very much a part of a survival response. It's keeping yourself safe so you avoid causing the upset. And sometimes I have found this personally in my own journey. Knowing how to set the boundary isn't always enough. Sometimes the real work is learning to tolerate what happens inside of us after we set it. If you're able to get through the quivery voice when setting a boundary at first, that on its own is a victory. But then comes the internal battle. And our survival instinct kicks in and thinks, what if I made that person angry? What if I'm so selfish? And it's really uncomfortable. I want to take a minute and talk about the difference between boundary versus control. Okay? Because a boundary isn't you have to change. A boundary is here's what I'm going to do. So here are some examples because I think it's really important for us to dissect this a little bit more so that you can completely understand. So let's say you have a family member who regularly shows up at your home without calling ahead, without asking if it's all right if they come over. And you feel obligated to let them in even when you're exhausted or busy. So, a controlling response to that situation would be you can't come to my house without asking first. Okay, that's controlling. A boundary could sound like I need you to check with me before coming over. If you arrive without checking first, I won't be able to let you in. Okay, so the difference between those two responses is you're not controlling whether they show up. You're deciding what you'll do when they show up. Okay, so here's another example. Someone starts yelling, insulting you, or speaking to you in a way that you are no longer willing to tolerate. Okay. So the controlling response is you need to stop yelling at me. Okay. Because that's about their actions. Okay. The boundary could sound like I'm willing to have this conversation with you, but I'm not willing to continue while I'm being yelled at. If it continues, I'm going to end the conversation and we can try again when we're both calmer. You're not saying that they can't behave that way. You're deciding what you're going to participate in. And I want to make this abundantly clear. You can set the boundary, but without action, it's just a request. So if you say, I'm willing to have the conversation, but if it continues, I'm not willing to continue being yelled at. If it continues, I'm going to end the conversation and we'll try again later. And then that person keeps berating you and yelling at you and you don't stop it. That boundary is dead in the water. Okay. One more example, just so that we're good. Okay. So this situation is someone asks you to do something and you genuinely do not have the capacity. Like you are full up. All right. People pleasing response. Yeah, I can probably make it work. Have you ever said that? I think I have. Being honest. The boundary is I'm not able to take that on right now. And then stop talking. You don't need I'm so sorry. I feel terrible. I don't know. I know you're probably really disappointed right now. Maybe I can do it next week. Let me see if I can arrange it. No, stop. I'm not able to take that on right now. Their disappointment is allowed to exist, and you don't have to fix it. So typically, this is where I would do some hot seat coaching if you are to join me on a Zoom event in the future. But since you are not here, if you would like some hot seat coaching in the comments, be sure to let me know a boundary situation you're struggling with, and we can tackle it in the comments. And I want to let you know this is exactly the kind of deeper work that I do with clients on the regular. The goal isn't simply better boundaries, it's understanding the pattern underneath the reaction and building the capacity to respond differently. So, if you're interested in checking out the Mended Mama method, I invite you to reach out to me and I can share more information about that. It's a 12-week coaching, one-to-one coaching container that I work one-on-one with mamas. And so I want to end today with a challenge. Write down one boundary you've been avoiding. Okay, find a piece of paper, write down one boundary you've been avoiding. What are you afraid will happen if you hold it? What would change if you stopped abandoning yourself to avoid someone else's discomfort? And I want to encourage you to sit with this question for a while instead of forcing yourself to set the boundary immediately. Because if you're holding yourself back from setting it, if you're avoiding setting a particular boundary that you know needs to be set, there is a reason. And by pondering this question, I think there's an opportunity for you to understand why you are avoiding it. Anywho, friends, that is our video for today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Emily Cleghorn, and I am so thankful you're here. Mend the past so you can mama in peace.